To start, I'm just taking off all the plastics. The windshield just pulls off, the side panels lift up and pull away. That's gonna help get everything going, so just try to gain as much access as possible. To get this gauge pod off, you depress these two tabs and kind of pull away, and then it reveals that connector. It's always amazing to me how much plastic, how much they have for plastics. So there's a bunch of Torx bits all the way around, and then one in the front, and that's how the headlight housing comes off. And you're just gonna kind of follow it around and undo the connector for your heated shield port and your desk key port. You're left with this harness here. You're gonna pull that off because this big air box is gonna come off separate. Okay, now you can see it. This big air box is gonna come off separate. There's a few Torx for that over by where your hood release, your door releases are. Then this coolant bottle, you just undo that 7mm, and then it comes off. You're probably just going to want to lay that away. Then under here, there is a hose clamp. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there's a hose clamp right about there, and that's going to free you from the air neck. And then there's a Velcro strap right there. You can kind of see it undone. I'm going to go ahead and get these 7mm off. Going to get it with a long 1/4-inch ratchet, and this is for the air box and the boots on them. So just back them off quite a bit. 2 long extensions, and they'll pop right off. Now you get the joy of taking off these exhaust springs. So there's 2 on either side of the pipe. This is a tool I used. You could also use a vice grip. Those work all right. There's one back there. You can kind of see it. It's off now. And there's one right there. If you have a pull start now, the 4 T30s on the pull start, you can kind of get this one down that way. You can kind of get by going through this hole. If I can spot, must be gonna have to do it with the T-handle. You can get in there like that. And now you're gonna come in here and disconnect it from the Ypipe. So this guy, there's 4 little clamps, not clamps, springs there, and I'm actually missing one. Got the pipe out. I'm gonna move over here and work on getting the clutches out. So the secondary clutch comes out by undoing all the chain case bolts. A chain case cover comes off. They're 10mm. And then so now that the chain case cover's off, you have to pop loose that 17mm and then roll the bolt right and down. And what that's going to do is relieve tension. And you come and pop off the 16mm, and then the jack shaft should pull right through the other side, like including the secondary clutch after this comes off the shaft. So this comes off the shaft like that. I was wrong. You need to also remove, there's 2 bolts on the other side of the the secondary clutch, 2 13mm, and then one of these is studded with a 10mm on top to hold down the brake cable. Collar that holds, it sits like that, right? And it holds the outer bearing on this jack shaft in. And I didn't realize that needed to actually physically come off before I started tapping on the other end. So that was pretty easy. It pulled off the outer race off that taper, and if you're gonna hit on that jack shaft, just replace the nut on there. I mean the bolt on there, so you're not gonna screw up the splines. You mushroom them out, and then you'll never get the gear over them. To take the Ypipe off, you're gonna need to take it off to get the engine out of the bulkhead. You're gonna use a 6mm Allen, and I like to use this type of ball head Allen, only because that's like literally the only way you're going to get to it with a little extension on them. This is a cheap kit from Husky, so worth getting for this job. Next thing I went after was the reeds and the throttle body boots. I guess they're one piece on these. What I did was I obviously loosened those hose clamps, and I plan on keeping this throttle body with the sled. In etec, there's not too many hoses. The P-Techs and all the other ones have quite a few hoses. But I was able to push it away. And then to get to all those 8mm in there, there's like 6 per boot. I had to remove this little support. So I got that 13mm loose, that 13mm slack, that 13mm loose, and there's a 10mm right there. And that's just slack enough where I could get to the rest of the bolts. This one's going to get taken off at this connector right here. So you just depress that and pull up, and that's going to allow you to keep your vacuum lines on this side in. So those two yellow ones, that's going to allow you to keep those guys in. I think that's just manifold vacuum. Coming from the front, these two connectors for the ECM, they go to that. Yeah, they go to the ECM. So that's going to, I'm pretty sure that's stator related, and that's probably the magneto sensor, crank sensor. To get that bottom coolant line off, I'm going to go for the 7mm hose clamp right underneath the starter there, and then that should free up all that in the one that goes back to the exchange. Not sure if you could see it, but I had to yank off the one of those hose clamps, and they're one of the high pressure hose clamps, so I had to break it off. But I'll have to pull this hose up so that I can slide that other hose out, so when the engine comes through, the mount doesn't. I was hoping to be neat about this coolant, and I think it's working. So I just added a bucket, and then I kind of tilted this sled on its side a little bit, and you can kind of see it's dumping out of like right there, and then obviously that exhaust port right there. I didn't realize it till now, but these three 10mm have to come out, so this guy can come out, and I guess it's like some sort of torque stopper to keep the engine from spinning up too much. There are 3 oil lines down here. This one, that one, you can kind of see it there, and then there's one more. I have it tied back right up here, right there. And they have those high pressure clips on them, so you kind of need to, I cut one of them and was able to yank one of them off, but I might even have to replace them at this point. So this is what I'm left with. This is pretty much what came out. One thing that actually helped when I was doing this was that I put the actual old bolt in, and I was able to get a little more leverage on the motor to end up getting it out.